The beautiful continent of Australia is dying out fast after a terrifying report revealed a deteriorating picture of the natural environment. Catastrophic bushfires, torrential floods, and a frightening decline in mammal species has left the entire world speechless. Environmentalists are stunned as to how Australian authorities have allowed the situation to become so horrible in the first place. Keep watching this video as we tell you the truth about Australia's decaying environment. A sickening report card. Each year, independent scientists release a detailed report card on the health of the Australian government. The report helps government authorities make insightful decisions to prevent any sort of strain on natural resources, greenery, and wildlife. But this year's report has left everyone shocked, as it has just revealed that Australia as we know it is dying. The government is already being called out for setting on the report to prevent any sort of bad press right before the crucial elections. And this just really makes you wonder, what's more important, the dying environment or politics? Anyway, the devastating report revealed alarming data like how dreadful wildfires have burned away almost 46 million acres of land. This isn't just land we're talking about. That comes out to nearly 72,000 square miles of forest, wild animals displaced from their natural habitats, a declining bird population, and destruction of undiscovered plant life, all because of these wildfires. Even 1/3 of the Great Barrier Reef, stretching over 2,300 kilometers, has been whitened by severe coral bleaching events, leaving 2,900 individual reefs at the risk of extinction. If that wasn't enough, the report has deemed Australian coastal shores and water in poor condition. And because of these poor conditions, native fish populations have also declined by a whopping 90% over the past 150 years. And that's just the water we're talking about. Lands are in an even worse condition, as 10 terrestrial ecosystems are on the verge of collapse. Also, in case you're thinking this happened all of a sudden or something, that's really not the case. Between 2000 and 2017, more than 7.7 million hectares of potentially habitable land for threatened species was cleared. Want to hear the shocking bit? No one raised a single alarm. There wasn't even any scrutiny under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. It just goes on and on. 1/3 of Australia's woodlands and forests cleared. And we can't forget how much of this is because of aggressive resource extraction. It's pushed Australia into a nosedive towards a severely deteriorating state. So Australia isn't just dying, it's dying fast. And unless authorities come together and take some collective measures, one of the most beautiful and well-preserved countries in the world will become nothing but a barren dry land remembered for its once flourishing greenery and unparalleled wildlife. To be honest, the world had an idea that Australia was going through a climate disaster after climate disaster, but we had absolutely no clue the details would be so heartbreaking. Ever since the reports went public, a lot of groups have come together to merge efforts and prevent Australia from failing because of an environmental disaster. Just half the story. Believe it or not, there's actually much more to this than what meets the eye. The real issue is documentation. Nearly 70% of Australia's wildlife, including plants and vegetation, still remain undiscovered. So there's a lot more at risk than what the report really shows. Australia also has one of the highest rates in terms of species decline in the world, and it's already lost more mammals than any other continent in the world. Almost 100 Australian species are listed as extinct, or extinct in the wild, with the major causes being forest clearing and habitat destruction. Experts predict that much of Australia's prized wildlife, like the northern hopping mouse, black-footed tree rat, rock rat, and Christmas Island flying fox, could all go extinct within the next 2 decades. And as much as we'd like to stay hopeful, this will probably happen unless some serious steps are taken to reverse the damage. Think of it this way. Even if authorities manage to recover the environment, how are they going to bring wildlife back from extinction? Some undiscovered species may already be endangered or extinct. So, who knows? That is the case for vegetation, at least. Experts claim that an invasive species of flora now outnumber Australia's native species. Brendan Wintle, who is an ecosystem and forest scientist at the University of Melbourne, told the New York Times that the findings in the report were traumatic. He said there's an extinction crisis going on, and unless there's no transformative changes, the situation will keep on deteriorating. Environmental Minister Tanya Plibersek labeled the report as a really confronting read. She also said things like how places have literally been burned into endangerment by the catastrophic fires. But still, if there's anyone who's taking this seriously and trying to make a difference, it has to be her.
The cockatoo and the skink that I'm listing today are two animals that were really badly affected by the Black Summer bushfires.
Just recently, she issued a really stark warning to Greens leader Adam Brandt, telling him not to stand in the way of progress as authorities prepared to reduce carbon emissions to meet their target of 43%. Again, this just makes you really wonder whether Australia wants to extract every bit of its remaining natural resources for prosperity, or actually stand true to its native values and preserve the environment. There's a reason why indigenous knowledge is so valuable. Tribes living in Australia for thousands of years understand the ecosystem like no one else, and there's a reason why they've been able to preserve their lands, which also happen to come under multiple protection laws. So isn't it just better to let them assist in turning things around for the continent, since they know best how to manage such complex ecosystems across a variety of different terrains? Not to mention how they're pretty much the only ones who've seen them in their original forms. But that isn't even half the problem. The real problem is finance. Apparently, the indigenous tribes aren't given enough money to properly manage their territory. All that money goes into mining and clearing forest, since Australian cities happen to be some of the fastest growing in the entire world. And it isn't like those protection laws are making a difference either. The destruction of indigenous heritage continues to proceed at an alarming rate that goes against their wishes. So yeah, no matter what explanation they come up with, Australia is responsible for its own mess. And unless they put an end to their invasive actions in the name of prosperity and progress, entire ecosystems will collapse, leaving the country dying without any chances of survival. Oh, and do you want to know something that'll make your blood boil? The report was actually handed over to the previous government last year. That's right, it's just been laying around on some table collecting dust, while Australia literally burns to the ground. Everything that's critical to prevent Australia from dying also happens to be the most vulnerable. Like the trees in northern Australia, absolutely crucial to climate change, but also at risk. Probably a bit more vulnerable if you look at the fact that the rate of trees dying in Queensland's old-growth forest has nearly doubled over the past 35 years. And there's a lot of science behind why all that is happening, but we'll save that for another video. For now, all you need to know is that those rivers drying from the mouth up, and those reefs on the verge of collapse, entire ecosystems nearing extinction, those were the very systems that could prevent Australia from dying. So what happens from here is really crucial. We're hoping leaders are able to put aside all those mining and energy projects to focus on things that really matter. The world is moving rapidly towards sustainable growth and development, and Australia continues to exploit its environment and wildlife, only to accommodate bustling urbanization, but they won't be able to keep up with this for too long. They'll have to make some really big changes because Australia is literally the extinction superpower of the world. If the continent manages to make things better, it helps the entire world. But if that doesn't work out, well, it leads to mass extinction events all over the world, leading to severe, unreversible global environmental damages. All eyes on the wide brown land now. Make us proud. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Will Australia be able to reverse the devastating damage to its environment? Or will it end up becoming another exploited continent? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more informative videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Just close your